Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Showing Up Whole, the place where we discuss alignment in mind, body, heart, and spirit in every aspect of our lives. And today, we are talking about the aspect of our lives that so many of us go through, and that is parenting and marriage and relationships, and possibly doing that at the interesting time of perimenopause in our lives, because that's what so many of us are doing. So, the emotional times of us all. So we are talking with Rebecca Greene, who is one of my very favorite people, and we are just going to have
Oh,
so much fun on this conversation. Rebecca Greene received her bachelor degree in psychology and her master degrees in social work at the University of Buffalo. She has experience working as a therapist, a supervisor for families whose children have severe behavior problems. She was a stay-at-home mom for many years before diving back into work. She is a social worker, a blogger, a vlogger, a podcaster, and author. She lives at home with her husband, Seth, their son, Max, who's also currently at university, their daughters, Ella and Lily, their cats, Faith and Joy, and their dog, Tanner. And Rebecca's full house keeps her very, very busy, but she finds time and much joy in writing and loves connecting with the experts on her podcast, Whinypalooza, which I have been on and which is one of the most joyful spaces on the internet. So everyone, let us say hello to Rebecca.
oh my goodness. Thank you
Hello,
so much.
lovely. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited to be having a conversation with you finally. I've been on your
Me too.
podcast twice, and
Yes.
each time has been such a wonderful, exciting, vibrant conversation. I was like, her energy just needs to be on mine.
Oh,
I
so
need your
sweet.
energy here because we just have so much fun diving into this human stuff and this
We
stuff that
do.
makes up life.
I
Life.
know.
Life.
Life.
Okay, so
Life.
let's talk a little bit whiny palooza. You know what? Actually, this is where I want to start. Whiny palooza. Whiny palooza. Where did you come up with the name Whiny palooza?
Oh my goodness. So I have to tell you, I have wanted to change the name. It's been 12 years. I've wanted to change the name, but like everybody knows the name. So it's hard. I
It's
don't
hard to
really want,
forget.
right? I don't really want to start over because I feel like everybody knows the name. So when this all started when my kids were little and they were all whining all the time. And we always laughed. People would come over and they would notice on our dining room table, there were always gifts lined up for the birthday parties that I was taking them to. And Seth was like, they're always whining and we're always going to a birthday party. And he's like, it's like whiny palooza all over the place. And he was like, that's the name. Of course, Seth, my marketing expert husband, came up with it. And I told him, I'm like, it should be like love and learning. It should be like something heart and soul. And he's like, no, you're keeping whining.
So
That's
it
where it
was
came.
born. And so it is very successful. And quite honestly, I think it sums up so much about what we actually all experienced in those younger years. And now,
True.
so now your kids are teenagers. Now,
Yes.
what am I looking at? 13,
So Lily's the
16.
baby.
Yep.
Lily's 13, Ella's 16, and Max is 18. And Max just
Yes.
went to college, as you know.
Yes. But the listeners do not. And yes, this was an emotional. It's so okay. So how are you with the chapters of parenting? I have to, like full disclosure, like I was a parent coach. I did the parent coaching. And then all of a sudden when all three of mine hit a plateau of being moving into, I guess it was when my son was about 13, 14. So he's my youngest. All of a sudden I went, okay, you know what? I actually need to take a step back from parenting coaching because actually I need to see actually how this actually works out. Because it's been good so far. And then the hormones started to fly. And all of a sudden it felt like, right, okay, I'm going to now focus on my own nervous system and my own stuff. So therefore my business turned that direction as well, because
Hmm.
the next chapter of parenting. So not the maybe does Whiny Palooza still fit?
You're saying, does the title still fit or does what I'm doing still work?
Well, no, does the title still fit when you consider teenage years? Because I know a lot of the
Yeah,
listeners are right now facing their
I
12,
think it should.
13, 14.
Yeah, it should be
15-year-olds.
Moody. Seth, if you're listening to this, it should be Moody Palooza.
Moody Palooza.
So they're not whining anymore. When they were little, there was lots of whining, and we
Yep.
actually would make a joke. Like I remember, I remember Max like laying on the floor about his cut on his foot, and I remember him having such a fit about the cut on his foot, and Ella, I think it was Ella who was like, "It's whiny palooza all over the place." So it became this little like joke in my family. It was
Yep.
quite the coping
That's
strategy that we
adorable.
would use.
That's
But
adorable.
I would say like the name could serve, they're not whining anymore. Now,
Yep.
mind you, people that I talk to and work with still have whining kids.
Yep.
So it works for families. But for me personally, for my life, they're not whining anymore.
Nope.
They're just moody.
They're just moody. They're just moody. So how has that affected your journey? Because I find
Yeah.
parenting one of the most phenomenal self-development journeys as you and I think the thing that it always teaches us, and if you have more than one kid, that this definitely shows up, that you don't freak out at every chapter. You don't think every chapter is a chapter. It's not the full story. So you are
Yeah.
definitely now in a new chapter. And now with Max in college, this is another new chapter. So how are you finding peace with the chapters? Do you find that that's the stretch of this, that it actually, because that's what it taught me. Nothing, everything is temporary.
So I have this expression that helps my husband and I. And it just came out of my mouth one day, and I said to him, "We're growing up with our kids.
Mm.
So we're growing up as parents. So we're adults, but we were not experts, but we were really good at the little kids, and then we got better at the bigger kids and the teenagers, and now we're learning how to parent a kid in college. So I feel like we just grow up with them as parents, and and I tell Max, I have apologized to Max. I mean, he is such a good person for this job, but he's our guinea pig.
I know,
So,
we tell our
right?
eldest that
You
too. Yeah.
you know that. I mean, we're
Yeah.
learning with Max teaches us so much at every stage
Yeah.
because he goes first. And Ella gets the best of us because we learn it with Max and then we know better for Ella. And then we get to Lily and we're a little tired and we're like, oh, we have to do this again. So at least I'm aware of it, but Lily's having a great life. She's living her best life. So no worries about Lily.
That's, and honestly, I think that the third child often, I mean, my son will totally happily say that he came as the third because he knew he would actually receive that version of us. He was like, yeah, you guys really let me be myself. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
That's what
It's
I
pro
needed.
it's probably a better, looser version.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Max gets the more uptight version.
Yep.
Sorry, Max.
That's fine.
Or-
They are the ones that have to leave the nest first.
Yes.
So, they have certain skills of being a little bit more independent. They show up in different ways, and then they still need us for other things.
Oh,
It's an interesting elastic band, right? Like it's that elastic band where you watch as they stretch out and then but yeah, they do have to learn with they have to get used to us learning.
yes, and it's not easy. I mean, I have talked to you a couple times when I was struggling. I will say to Christina, like, how did you let them go to college?
Yep.
I just, I wanted them all to go down the street to UB,
Yeah.
and they're all rejecting my plan. Max said, no way. Ella is now saying, no way. And Lily's saying, I don't want to go to UB, right? Come on, none of you are going to go down the street.
Yep. Oh, I know. I know.
Oh,
The best I could do was making sure she didn't move 5 hours away, and instead she's 3 hours away. And because she's in London, I also got to go see West End shows. So I made it really good for me.
oh, oh my God, that is a really good tip for parents because one of the coping strategies is that they're going to go to places that I get to visit. So it makes it a little exciting for us,
Yeah,
like it's an adventure and
exactly.
we get to add stuff to our lives too.
Exactly. And I think I mean, I know that one of the things that definitely spurs me on, spurs me on, I think that's the right way to say this. But like I was raised where, we had the family home. My mom loved being a mom. She was very focused on being a mom. Everything kept the same running, whether I was there or not. So there was a sense of stability. And there was a sense of consistency in that.
Mm-hmm.
And as a mom, maintaining that freaks me out. I go, I go, sorry, actually, now it's my turn. Now it's my life. And actually, I need to kind of break the box. I can't maintain this at a certain point. Now we waited until our son was, I guess, 15 until I finally broke the box. But it was finally like, actually, I cannot be heating empty rooms and be wandering. Like, I'm not heating empty rooms.
I think that that's healthy though. I think what you're doing is a natural progression.
I'd like to think so. I definitely know it's
Yeah.
the progression that I had to do. So because I
Yeah.
think that's the thing. I think it breaks my heart when I see so many people feel like they're on their life progression. They have kids. They raise their kids, and we're parents for 20 years, like pretty much 20 years. When you add in pregnancy, when you add in all this stuff, it's like 20 years. So the neural pathways become about nourishment. It becomes about taking care of other people. And in that, the natural progression is putting ourselves on the sidelines, right?
Yes. Yes.
And all of a sudden, it's like, well, how do we actually there? And of course, 20 years later, our neuroplasticity, if we're not careful, is not as stretchy as we're in habits. So actually changing that is actually a bit of a scary thing. So
Yeah.
we don't have necessarily the support systems or enough conversation around, okay, so now that chapter is done. What are you doing next? So instead,
Mm.
it turns into this thing where all of a sudden parents lose their spark for life because it's like, well, my job is done. I guess I'm just facing retirement. I'm basically just going to do this. And I'm just holding the same pattern. And maybe people come back at Christmas or holidays or something. And you go, whoa, 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 whoa. No, no, no. This is your spotlight. This is your chapter. This is when it's time to really grab life force. Sorry, I went on a little bit of a tirade. As you
No,
can tell,
that
I'm a
was
little passionate.
good.
You know,
Yeah, no, I
it
agree with you.
it's an exciting time. It's a time to have romance and to get back to getting to know your partner apart from like little snippets of conversation at the dinner table when you can't get two words in straight.
Oh my gosh, the amount of interruptions. It's going to be very strange. It's going to be very strange when we can actually like have a deep conversation and not be interrupted. I think it's going to be very
It
strange.
takes a little bit of time to reprogram your brain to
Yeah.
actually know that you actually have time to express a thought rather than I need to get this out as fast as possible.
Oh my God, totally. Totally. We're like in the middle of it and they're like, "By the way, such and such is due tomorrow. Can you help me?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, okay, stop. What we
Yep.
what were we talking about?"
Or it's by the way, did you hear about so and so? And you're like, wait, what? No? Okay. This actually has nothing to do with me.
Oh my goodness. I love a busy full house, but
Yes.
they go to school. Like Seth goes to work, my
Yep.
kids go to school, and then I have 5 or 6 hours for me to do my work and my list of things.
Yep.
And when they come home, sometimes it's a big adjustment for
It is
me
adjustment. Yep.
to get into the chaos of them being home. So
Yep.
I do have the peace and quiet during the day that I'm used to.
Yep. So out of curiosity, do you find that has changed for you over the last few years? That that sense of needing time to adjust to the chaos again. I find that's a fascinating. I can't track whether that's perimenopause or if that's just the natural stretch of kids getting older where you kind of go, oh, actually, now it's time for my space. But it does, I know that you're nodding your head, just if anyone on
Yeah.
audio
Yeah,
only.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, that's fine.
I have to actually use words. So for me, I didn't used to value peace and quiet. I don't think that I thought that I needed it. Kids were home. I mean, my kids were home all day, and I was just used to constant chaos, like constant. Like you just go as a mom nonstop. And then they all went to school. And then gradually over the years, I learned that I really valued my time. But that was not right away. That has changed over the years for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, total switch of gears. What made you start a podcast?
Oh, you know, that husband of mine. So, for those of you who don't know, everybody doesn't know. Seth has a marketing business, and he also does a ton of he produces a ton of podcasts with
Hmm.
his BMD publishing business. So he always comes home with ideas for me. So it started with, honey, all the writing that you're doing is a blog, and me going, what is a blog? Then it turned into, honey, I think that you should be doing a vlog talking about your blogs. What is a vlog? Okay. I didn't know what any, like, he just always knows what's up and coming
Yep.
because of the business that he's
Of
in.
course he is.
So then he's like, what was next? Probably the podcast. He's like, you would be a great podcast host. We'll have on parenting and marriage experts. You'll be great at talking to them with your background. It's going to be great. And I was like, what do you want me to do now? Like he just comes home with all of these ideas and he's like, by the way, your all your stuff is being put into a book. I'm like, book? Now we're doing a book? He's like, yeah, and you need to edit it all. And I'm like, oh my God, like it's always something. And like it's kind of exciting. Like I do need to come up with some of my own ideas.
No, you know what? Actually, I think that's brilliant. It's like, and I mean, honestly, it'd be different if he wasn't your husband. I mean, and for anyone who doesn't know, I know Seth really well as well. And honestly, the two of you are just like this bundle of love. Like you guys are just wonderful together, and you're so
Oh,
caring, and you're so and I think I've told both of you how excited I am for both of you as you do head into that next chapter when everyone's older, because you guys just have such a loving connection. And if it's coming from a loving connection of all these
yeah.
really good ideas, you basically function as one anyway.
Oh my gosh, you know what? It's an interesting team. Like, I love working with him. We
Mm.
have had conversations like, I see a future of more work with him. You know,
Yeah,
we like to do things together,
yeah,
and it works out really well. So I see more of that happening.
I definitely agree. So,
Yeah,
having him being the idea generator and you providing like
the
working on them,
content.
it makes sense.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's two halves of a whole.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, we're talking about parenting, but we also are slightly talking about marriage. What is your takeaways with marriage? Like, what are the lessons that you've had from marriage?
Oh my
Because that's not
gosh.
something actually I talk about very often on this podcast. Like,
Yeah, I mean, so what you I've never told you this, but back in the day before children, when we were getting all the families to work with, the therapist would be like, "Oh, marital issues, give it to Rebecca." Didn't want they didn't want the thick marital stuff. And I love marriage. Like I love helping couples connect. I love helping couples work things out. And I try to practice what I preach. I don't always do that when emotions are hot, but I do my best. I have learned so much about marriage. I've been with Seth over 20 years, 21 years. And I think that would probably be my biggest takeaway is to take a moment so that you don't say things that you regret. So like I can get very fiery.
mhm.
So I know that about myself. So I have learned over the years to take a breath, to take a pause. And he's also learned that I might say to him, because Seth was like, we have to talk now. We have to talk now. We have to work this out right now. And I would be like, no, you don't want to. So he was the one who was like, we got to work on this right this second. And I
Oh,
have
that's
learned, right? So I have learned about myself that I'm like, okay, honey, I'm really pissed right now. So we're gonna come back together. I won't leave you hanging. We will work this out. But I have to get in a resourceful place.
isn't that fun? You know what? Have you ever heard the hypnotherapy school of thought that there are two different types of people? Have we talked about that? I think maybe, I don't know.
No,
That there's two
no.
different types of people. They did this study in the hypnotherapy school out in California, and they realized that there's two different types of people that respond differently in conflict. There's the
Okay.
emotional type of person and there's the physical type of person. And it never
Mm,
fails. They always end up in a relationship together. They were
yeah.
like, this is so weird. We always end up with the opposite. So the emotional person feels the conflict first and it does, and they just feel it and are in that emotional kind of fiery space or sad space, or
Yes.
they feel it
Yes.
first and they have to wait for the information to kind of process up to their head in order to actually talk through things.
That's me.
That's you. Now then
That's
you
me.
have then you have the other person who's physical. So they receive it intellectually first, need to
Yes.
figure it out first, and then
Yes.
afterwards then they can process it emotionally. So, I mean, yeah, it's
So
fascinating.
so thankfully, I think that that is lovely that opposites attract because two of me would not like. I feel like you don't want two emotional people. Like, not that Seth isn't emotional. He is a very sensitive guy, but
Yeah.
he's much more intellectual and he thinks things through and wants to talk about the logic of it. And I'm like, you have to learn that. And he has learned over the last 20 plus years my logic shuts down when I'm
Yes.
feeling something. Like
Yes.
I can't be logical.
Yes, exactly. No, and it's so funny because it's really important to note that this is not like it's not gender based because in a relation like in my husband and I we took the test because there is a test that you can take online and I was like, please, we're so alike. We're totally going to be the same. I'm sure we're the same. I was like, come on. And he was like, yeah, we wouldn't be different. We're like, "Ah, we're so alike." And then all of a sudden I learned more and I was like, oh, okay. This is why he shuts down in a conversation, like in conflict, because he is the emotional one and I'm actually the physical one because I go in and go, blah, 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 blah. I turn into like the peanut
See?
teacher, you know, like wah, wah,
Yes.
wah, 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 wah.
Yes. Yes. And he's like, I'm not there yet.
Yeah, and
I'm not
he's
there.
like, you're not making any sense. You are not words. Like there is nothing there that is landing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it used to be so I used to find it so frustrating because I'd be like, I don't understand like what's going on. And then when I actually started looking deeper into this study, I was like, oh,
Makes so much sense.
space. You need space. You need to go vent it out to someone else and then return it
Yes.
out. So,
Yes.
yes. So that's what I started
Yes.
doing. I started venting. Unfortunately, sometimes it was my daughters who were older by that time.
Oh my gosh. No, I mean, every marriage is very, when you talk to couples, you hear the same kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I have talked to couples about the fact that I am such a service person. I'm always doing for everybody in my life. What can I do for you? Can I help you with this or help you with that? And Seth finally said to me, I don't feel love that way. Like, I know you're trying to do stuff for me, but he's like, that's not what I want from you. I want you to tell me. Like, I want you to say, I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you for working so hard.
Mhm.
He's like, I want to hear it from you. He's
Yeah.
like, I don't care about all these chores that you're doing.
Yeah.
He's like, you could do less. I would
Yeah.
like you to do less.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It's so funny when you dive into the love languages and how I
Yes.
know. Again,
Yes.
my husband is the same as you. He loves to do acts of service. That's his thing.
Yes.
It took
Yes.
me for years and years to actually kind of land. I remember something would upset me and I would start to cry. And suddenly he'd be in the kitchen for 3 hours cooking my favorite meal. And
Oh,
I'd be like, I know, but I'm being in this space of, I need a hug. I need a hug. I
yes.
need a hug.
Yes.
And finally, I had to go into the kitchen and be like, okay, I get it now. I understand that you are doing this as a way of making me feel better. And I appreciate that. But while you do it, can you give me a hug?
I know. I know, but we have to learn this stuff about our
Yes.
partner because for me, when I am sitting down and Seth is doing the dishes, do you know how loved I feel? I'm like, when you do things that I don't have to do, I
Yes.
feel so much love.
I know it's so interesting. That
I
is
know.
so interesting because sometimes people get too far in their head about love languages and they're like, well, my receiving language is this, but my expression love language is this. And
Oh
it
my
gets so,
God.
it's like,
I haven't
don't
gotten there.
overcomplicate it.
No, no, it's just, and I also told him, like, he laughs at me, but the other thing is that he wants consistent, and I'm a woman. Like, I don't mean to generalize, but like, I'm not always gonna want the same things. I'm not gonna always want to
Yeah.
do the same things. So he's learned to be more flexible. We just have to keep growing with each other and learning about
Yes.
each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that does take a level of communication
Yes.
and also a level of radar, for lack of a better word. It's like acknowledging and also I'd probably say not taking everything personally.
Yes. Yes.
That's which
Yes.
is always a really hard one because especially when relationships start off, we do take things personally because that's what we think the priority is. But it is actually a question of actually giving this person space of actually having their own autonomy. That was like I remember someone saying to me, it's like at a certain point, every single person in the family has their own autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
You do too. And I
Yeah.
remember this landed really hard with me because it was like, that's fascinating. I started firing myself from a lot of roles in my life after that. I was like, oh yeah, okay. You know what? Actually,
I like that.
my
We need to,
autonomy. Mm,
yes. I
yeah.
like that, firing ourselves.
Oh
I could,
yes.
yeah, I could be better at that.
Sometimes because I think that sometimes we get so stuck in again, jumping back to parenting. I think we get
Yeah.
so used to the things we do for kids and the things
Yeah.
that we run around and the things that and sometimes you actually have to say, yeah, I'm firing myself from that actually. I'm done. I'm actually no, this is outlived its contract on that.
Well,
We're done.
and the good thing about Lily is that Lily fires me. So
Yeah. Third
Lily
children are
is,
so good at this.
oh my gosh, she is so independent and
Yeah.
she is like, I will do this myself. Please go away.
Yeah. 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 And you kind of hit as a and and then all of a sudden you go, hmm. Actually.
I have to tell you, there was a shift though. So you just landed on an important shift. I was sad,
hmm
and then I was like, oh, this is less work for me.
Yes. And something, I think over time, and maybe this is like perimenopause as well, because I think I think like I am not a sufferer of perimenopause in the sense that I see it as a new chapter. I see it as a new frontier. I see it as something I'm curious about. I see it as something that has its challenges if I try to squash myself back into the way things were, but that's an evolvement. So I'm learning about what
Yeah.
that means for me. But I do notice that suddenly trying to keep track of everybody's stuff, we're just organizing large things for everyone else doesn't feel as in flow to me as it did when they were little.
Well, yeah, because we don't have to.
We don't
We
have
don't
to.
have to.
No.
There's a lot I mean, when they're little, we're responsible for everything.
Yes.
And then I learn as they get older how capable they are.
Yes.
And I keep stepping back with Max, like I I just cannot believe what he's doing on his own. I mean, everyone keeps applauding me like that means you did a good job. And at first I was like, "Oh, this is so
How
sad." And now
do
I'm
I
like,
stop
"No,
doing that?
right?" And now I'm like, he doesn't need me to do that. Like
Yeah.
he is a very capable kid,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Well, because then you get to move on from they don't it's funny when it shifts to all of a sudden they don't need you, but they want you. All of a sudden it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, let's hang out. All of a sudden it's like, can we just have some fun? It was funny. Like as a side note, I was just talking to my daughter who, she was just she's feeling a little bombarded by a whole bunch of friends and a whole bunch of people. And she's like, I haven't had much time alone. I really need some time alone. And I was like, well, what if you never spoke to this person again? She's like, whatever. I was like, what about this person? She's like, I'm not today in this space, whatever. That's fine. I'm like, what about this person? She's like, yeah, whatever. I was like, what about me? She's like, oh no, then I'd be sad.
Oh, they need their
Yay!
mom.
Like
You know what though? I still need my mom. I still need
yeah,
my mom. I
yeah,
tell my kids that. I'm like, you know how old I am and I
yeah,
still need my mom.
yeah. Absolutely. Well, something slots into place when you talk to them, right? Where all of a sudden you're like,
Yes.
oh, okay, actually,
Yes.
it's an interesting kind of stretch in that where you know you're also independent. And I wouldn't want my mom like to be carrying the weight of my life. Like if she's
No.
worried about, I'm like, no, 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 no. I know how to hold the container of my life. Um, but it's fun to talk and it's fun to connect and I enjoy laughing with her and I enjoy
Oh,
communicating with
yes.
her. And
Yes.
so it is interesting when you watch the it's kind of like passing on the ball of the responsibility, right? All of a sudden you had to hold the whole thing and then all of a sudden you can pass it on or hold it on little bit by little bit and then all of a sudden they've got it. There's always some times where they go, actually, this has turned kind of heavy. Can I pass it back to you for a bit? And you go, yep, I can do that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I was going to tell you, I live near my parents. I don't know what your situation
Oh
is.
no, they're across the ocean.
Oh, they are?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So, so my parents still get phone calls like,
Yeah.
I can't get to Lily. Can you please go get her? I mean,
Ah,
they're
yes.
still in my everyday life. Like
Yes.
I mean, I can't be everywhere.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that it it was interesting watching like that's why we have total phone-based conversations and then make it over there once or twice a year type thing. And thank God for
Oh,
video calls.
oh
So
my
it's like,
gosh.
yeah, so it's a very different space for it to be
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the relationships take interesting turns with those types of things.
Hmm.
Because again, it's relationships. I remember
Yes.
someone saying to me, I was in a conversation years and years ago, and we did kind of just land on the whole thing of like, well, parenting is actually a relationship. It's not like a role that we put on. And it was like this kind of thing of going, oh, this is actually something totally different. This is something that we don't talk about. It's like and that too, I think, is true in marriage and relationships in that way when there's actual relationships, I think we have a tendency to bring in these stereotypical roles of this is who I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be in this.
Yeah.
It kills it. It kills it. It stops the whole thing because when you stop being a person in a relationship, something shifts.
I'm just trying to learn and grow with these relationships as
Mm.
things do not stay the same. And I think that change is just like I have learned to embrace change. And I think that that's something that I have resisted in my life.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I know the feeling. And also I think what relationships parenting and marriage has taught me is that I don't need to know things really fast. I think it's given me again that autonomy card where you actually go, actually, you know what? I don't know. What do you think? What do you know? What can you bring into the conversation? Which was not my natural tendency. You know,
Yeah,
I,
because we want to fix everything and do everything. And I mean,
yeah,
I know every mother is very similar and learning to maybe bite our tongues and ask questions instead of giving is a big shift.
yes. Do you have siblings?
I have a younger brother who
Okay.
doesn't live here. He lives out of state. So it,
Okay.
yeah, so he's not really around.
But that means that you are the eldest. So
Yes.
therefore, then you have that kind of elder. Because I do find there's positionings. I hate stereotypes. I hate
No,
it
it's
so
true.
much.
No,
But it's so apparent where you
yeah.
kind of have that like what we were saying about our eldest, where it's like that independent space where they kind of were the guinea pigs. So were you the guinea pigs for your parents?
For sure. I think I frustrated. I mean, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think I was probably frustrating because like I wanted to do everything people pleasing. I wanted to do everything
Yeah.
in the right box to make, I wanted my parents happy. I wanted everything calm and peaceful. So I was always trying to do the right thing. And that's hard for a youngest to deal with. Like, can you do something wrong? I think that's how he probably felt.
Got
But
it.
so we were as opposite can be.
Yeah.
just personalities are very interesting.
And it's fascinating. I find children's placements and children's relationships based on where they kind of come in amazing, and seeing their differences and how they actually operate fascinating. It's
Mm. Oh my.
fascinating. Yeah.
Well, and cool for me to watch because it would have been cool to not be the first child because my parents would say something and I would listen. Like I didn't really know, right? Like I didn't even know to not
I
listen.
know.
And then someone like Corey or Lily comes around and they're like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool to watch. Like, as frustrating as it can be to parent, there's a lot of times that I'm like, good for Lily. Like
Yeah.
she has her own mind and she's strong and she's not me.
Yeah.
She's not me.
Yeah. Well, and it's so funny because I think you're right. I think that like those are the things that from a parent's perspective, life's so much easier when you say jump and your kids say hi, how high. It's like you go, okay, now you got this. Like this is how we function. And then all of a sudden that other child comes in and you're like, what are you doing?
I'm like, what do you mean? No. What do you mean you're
This
going to
is
be
how this will
difficult?
work. This is what's your idea? I don't know.
Oh my God. But you don't really want your kid to be like the perfect people pleaser. You want them to develop their own mind and have their own thoughts and,
Absolutely,
you
absolutely. And
know,
it's a funny thing because, like we said earlier, the eldest is the guinea pig. So we're trying out the hey, you need to jump. They say how high. Then the next one comes in and goes, why? And we go, shoot, actually, I have no idea.
that was good. That was good.
Don't really know
Why?
why.
Why do you want
Huh.
me to do that?
Because everybody else is jumping and we're supposed to jump and we're not exactly sure
Oh
why we're
my
supposed to jump,
God.
but we're supposed to jump and I'm the mom, so I said so. And then all of a sudden they look at you and go,
Mm.
that's stupid. And you go, darn it. I know.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. I told them all you're going to go down this, you're going to live at home, you're going to go down the street to college, and each one has said no. And I'm like, you know what? Good for them.
Good for them.
Good for
Good for
them.
them. Oh, absolutely. And the only thing you can do, I find, is keep open doors. Open doors and open windows. And I don't just mean your own open door of like you can come home at any time. It's also like, okay, so for instance, I know like when my eldest was like, I want to move out. Like, she was 22, no, 21. She didn't like the fact that we had moved out to the country. She was like, I want to move out. I'm saving up money, actually. She had her own business. She's like, I'm saving up money. I'm going to move out. And then she's
Yeah.
like, I'm moving out and I'm going to move all the way up to Birmingham. And this is like 5.5 hours. And we're like, to do what? And this was not, I'm going to go to university. This was just moving out. And I was like, okay.
Oh,
So then my husband and I started having a silent freak out as we kind of went, oh my goodness, what does that even mean? Like 5 hours away, how do we even help her move? Like this is like, what do we do with this? And then it turned into my husband randomly, and this is where, like spiritual work and connecting to make sure you're listening to your heart really came in because out of nowhere, he was like, so why don't you just try to go to university? And you always want to go to London. Why don't you just try university? And it was interesting to watch how her whole involvement of like, no, I don't think I can do that. It's probably too late. I'm sure I'm like, all of her negative chatter came out. And it was so interesting to watch this dynamic shift of like, what if we just offer this as a other potential for your benefit and also for ours?
oh my gosh. Why can't they all just stay close to their parents? Oh boy.
Well, we did move out in the middle of the country.
Yes, I know. I know. And it's really kind of cool to hear what they want though, because my son was like, I kind of want to spend some time in New York City and I kind of want to spend some time in the country. And he's like, and I really want to figure out like where do I like to live?
Yes.
He's like, I'm going to do some research in New York City and then maybe I'll do something in the country. And he's like, I'm gonna figure myself out. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, like I love the exploration going on in his brain. Like I love hearing
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, because also, they are the evolution of us. Not that that's not to make us sound old, because we're not, because we are in our new chapter and we're evolving ourselves. But they are the evolution of humanity. And that makes kind of
Yes.
like they have brand new ideas. They are the kids who have always had the internet. They have a global perspective. They also
Yes.
have the kind of concept of I can live the life I want. They understand limitations, but they also kind of go, I can work that around this. I'm sure I can find a way of working around this. So
Oh,
they
yes.
come in all these very creative ways where
Yep.
we go, we're still a little bit more linear of like, well, how does that work? What does that look like? What's the logic there in some ways? So it's fascinating to watch the way they process information and the way that they can imagine their brand new reality for themselves. It's exciting.
Yeah. It's fun to watch. I would
It,
like to keep them within driving distance at least, but that's a whole nother
yes,
conversation.
that's a whole other thing. Yes. And then otherwise we have to get like pilot licenses.
Oh my God. You know, whatever. It's so fascinating talking to mothers, though. Like, if you talk to all the moms in your life, a lot of us have kids going off to school in my
Yep.
life. And some of them are like, oh no, they know they're living at home and they're going to this school, and that's what we can afford. And that's their choice. That's all that they can do. And some moms are like, oh, yeah, they could go to California. They can go wherever they want to go. And then you have Seth and I going, well, we're going to take California off the table if you could stay on this side of the country.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It's like, let's see what we're all can work with. Let's do this as a
Yeah, but
team.
every family has their own rules, thoughts, money.
Yes.
Like everyone, it's really fun for me as a social worker to hear what's
Yep.
going on in all the houses and all the
Absolutely.
chatter, right? It's interesting.
Absolutely. Okay, so out of curiosity, in order to, oh, now I want to go two different directions. Well, because that means that if every single person has their own set of values, their own experiences, their own kind of flavor to their house, and yet we live in a world where everyone's kind of told and pressured to function in a certain way of values and a certain way of being. So that is a lot of pressure there. What would be your top tip to help people listen to their own unique family value?
Oh, oh my God. I say, okay, so I will tell you, I will say, who the heck cares about
Ooh, like it.
what, who cares what anyone else thinks? Who cares what your parents think? Who cares what your next door neighbor thinks? Who cares? What do you think? Get in touch with what you think. What is good for you and your family? And know that what is best for each child and each family is individual. So I know that I have to work out in my house, in my four walls, what works for my family. And I don't care what the Joneses are doing. Like, say to
Fantastic.
yourself, who cares?
Brilliant. Brilliant. Okay, now then we run into the situations kids are going to school, all of a sudden they're dealing with their peers who, usually at 13 they usually care. How are you helping your kids understand that?
Well, so my kids have always known that we have always taught them that every family has unique circumstances.
Hmm.
Okay. And Seth and I have also talked to them about not just my kids, but my friends. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors.
Hmm.
So you may think that someone has the perfect marriage, the perfect family, the perfect kids, but I promise you they don't. So my kids know that we don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
And all that they need to know what's going on is what's going on here. So, like for example, so and so's parents let them go to Florida. Okay, okay. Do you know your mother? Do you know your mother? So, what works for your family? Do you
Yeah.
think that your mother wants you to go to Florida? Okay. Does she want you to go a couple hours away where she can get to you easily? Like, every parent, they know what we're like. They know what
Yep.
our financial situation is. They know that they have to work out what works for our family. They have definitely been in on all the conversations, so they've learned.
That's brilliant. I love that. I know. We've always been an open book around here because everyone spends as homeschoolers. Everyone's always there. Remember that interrupting conversation? That might as well have been.
Yes,
But
yes,
um,
yes.
it's honesty is so important. Kind of trying to keep this veil around what's really happening and treat kids like they can't actually be part of that conversation. It creates so many misunderstandings.
No, and they need to know what's going on, and they need to know that you're not like, like if you have endless funds for whatever your kids want to do, then I am so happy for you. I wish that I could say that. And, my parents worry. They're like, "Why are you letting them pick whatever school they want? Like you have to like drive the bus as to what you can afford." So, I think that I have to be in tune with myself too. I just want parents to know, like, think about what is really best for your child. So, for me, it's best for me to keep them right here, but what is best for them?
Mm.
Okay? So, I'm trying to be as selfless as I can,
Yep.
and I want them to be able to create the life that they want. So I just want us to keep in check, like, are we doing this for us or are we doing this for them? Like, we
Mm.
don't want them to go, Seth went to Syracuse and we just toured, and he just took Ella on a tour of Syracuse. Now, we have to make sure Seth can't steer Ella to Syracuse because he went there. Like, we just have to keep ourselves in check about things like that.
Yep. Yep. Such a
So,
Gilmore Girl moment. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. Like, I just, you know as well as I do that I have three kids that are very different, and
Yeah,
your kids are probably so different. So every
yeah,
journey is going to be unique. So I'm just kind of
absolutely.
learning what is best for each child.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And within that, you mentioned really listening to yourself. Do you
Mm.
find that by listening to yourself and taking good care of yourself, that you actually get a deeper intuitive pull of what's good for them?
Oh my gosh. 100%. Yes. Yes. What's going on for you in this moment is something that I have said to myself. And it's a lot of it's fear. A
Yeah,
lot of it's fear. It always comes down to fear and being afraid of like letting go and what's next, and just knowing that it's going to be okay.
yeah,
Telling yourself it's going to be okay. They're going to be okay. You're going to be okay.
yeah, absolutely. And it's amazing how so often, because even in that, we can think in the fear state, well, what do I need? What do I need? What do I need? And the fear mind will jump in being like, well, we need to tie them up and actually keep them at home nonstop because really, uh, who knows what's out there?
Yes.
But then
Yes.
that's actually not what you need. When you actually dive deeper into yourself and actually ask, say, what's really going on here, then it turns into, okay, yes, so that's the fear talking. All right, so then what would be best for them? What is actually for them? And then within that, what's best for me?
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love that.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Exactly.
Okay, just before we end, one tip that you would love everybody to hear for the umbrella of all of this. What would be the
Oh,
thing that you think people really need to focus on and the takeaway that you'd like them to have?
I mean, I think that we get so focused on our kids and maybe what they're doing wrong, what they need, what they want, and we're not focused enough on ourselves.
Mm,
Okay. So, what I have learned as a mom and what I'm trying to teach every single mom is that if we focus on ourselves, our nervous system, our like what is going on with us? Why are we reacting like this? If we focus on ourselves and we keep ourselves in a good state, we're better for everybody in our
mhm.
life.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Okay, let's send everyone to your way. Everyone needs to check out her podcast. Everyone needs to check out your website. You have books. Let's make sure that everybody knows where you are. Let's
Well,
give
and
it to them.
Whinypalooza is spelled funny. So we'll put it
Well, it
somewhere
will
where
be in the
it's
show
spelled.
notes.
Yeah, we kind of spelled it funny, but it's whinypalooza.com. The books are on Amazon. There's two books. And I don't know, can they see?
Yeah,
Are you
yeah,
going to
yeah. If they're
show
on YouTube,
this?
they can see.
I'm just
Yep.
going to show you. This is what one of them looks like.
Yay.
And okay, so the books, the website, and the podcast. Go check out the Whinypalooza podcast. And there's
Yeah,
2 episodes with Christina, so go
I know. So
listen to hers.
if you like this conversation, you can listen to two more.
2 more. It was so much, and this was just as fun.
It's just so much fun. I know, because I could talk to you all the time. We
Me
just
too,
need to
me
move
too.
closer. Right?
Oh my gosh, we do. We really do.
Hey, thank you so much for coming on. Everyone go check out Rebecca's beautiful work, and we will talk to you again soon.
Thank you
Mwah.
so much.
Thank you.
Mwah.